Alright, we're live. Should be live. Where's my Google Keep? Alright. Have I ever streamed on a Wednesday? Or is this my first time? It might be my first time. Who knows? We'll see. But I for sure... Also, my lips are always... It always looks like I busted my lip, yet I never really feel it. It's right there. It's funny because it doesn't hurt. But then whenever I see myself either in the mirror or on camera, like right now, it looks like I got punched in the face. But I'm like, I need to start carrying a chapstick. Because goddamn, this is not appealing. Bones, welcome. Manuel, welcome to the stream. Hey David, I have a question. Do you think pre-ordering an LPZZ off of AliExpress is a good idea? Right now my gut instinct is actually to say no, only because I feel like LPZZ being so relatively new in the market, I feel like there's going to be some copycats who are just going to try to jump on that wagon, and AliExpress will buy out that stock. That's just my prediction. That's just my observation from someone on the outside looking in. I mean, hell, I still haven't ordered anything off of AliExpress. I just, like I said, from an external observer, if that's even a phrase, whenever I see someone on Reddit, whether it be with maybe McFarlane's, but predominantly ASH Figure Arts or Mafex, people say that, oh, I got this from AliExpress for only like $30-some, and it's amazing, and it's a Mafex, or even a Sentinel. But then you have, I feel like I see 50-50 equal parts people posting photos saying, hey, I got this super cheap off of AliExpress. I lucked out. Keyword, lucked out. And then you'll have other people saying, hey, did I get a fake? Did I get a bootleg? And the photos they provide are of the figure, and it looks like it could be fake, but it also looks like it could be real. It's a very, like, humongous toss-up with even just Mafex and Figure Arts alone. And then you'll have some people that will at least post photos of the packaging, and the packaging is full-blown. It's like a Mafex Spider-Man, or at least what is supposed to seemingly look like a Mafex Spider-Man. But then you look at the bottom of the packaging, and you can note that it's missing the Marvel logo, and immediately that's your telltale sign that it's fake, that it's a bootleg. So, long-winded answer to your question, Manuel, but to kind of consolidate it, right now I would say no. I would go with like a legitimate site. I'm sorry. That's what I did. The site that I pre-ordered from is Bumbusbee. Now, to be quite honest though, and blunt, Manuel, I think right now your best bet is to just wait until the aftermarket, or just keep trying these sites. As far as Bumbusbee, Guns Dammit, I believe, what were the other sites that were selling LPZZ? Because the reason for why I'm saying that now your best bet is probably to wait until the aftermarket is because most of these sites are already kind of sold out. Because the last time I checked, the top 3 that keep showing up whenever I Google search is, and I believe at one point 16 Kit. 16 Kit is actually a really good site, but again, I think they're already sold out. But 16 Kit mostly specializes in whatchamacallit, 1/6 scale figures, mainly Hot Toys and even a few in-arts. But even they were looking to see, were probably seemingly going to be receiving stock of the LPZZ Arkham Knight Batman. And they had the page up, but I don't know if it's still up. It might be gone by now. But Toys Metaverse is also another site that keeps popping up. So yeah, when I go to like LPZZ, it's sadly sold out. Doesn't let me buy it. But they are a reliable site. Release delayed. That's funny. Yeah, I heard it got delayed to like the end of this month. So it's officially quarter 3, but technically it's like the beginnings of quarter 3, so it's not terribly out. terribly bad. Toys Metaverse showing sold out for $75. Is it sold out on Guns Dammit? Actually, yeah, because it's got a button that says available notice, meaning it's asking you to log in so you can apply for an arrival notice, meaning that they're sold out, and if there's vacancies, if there's extra stock, we'll let you know. Yeah, man. Like I said, you're kind of at the point where you pretty much have to wait until it. I hate using the word, but eBay shows up on eBay. Shows up on, if you haven't already pre-ordered. Just being completely honest. Yeah, Bones brought up Toys Metaverse. I definitely say hold out and wait to see if someone gets some stock in after release. Yeah, and then I also, by the way, Bones, thank you for the compliment on the hair, even though I literally just took some water and kind of brushed it off to the side. Alex, welcome to the stream. You'll be surprised by how sometimes, like, for example, there's I mentioned him a couple of times on videos where there's a local spot. Local's kind of a stretch because I still have to drive like an hour and 10 minutes into the Inland Empire to get to this place. But there's an establishment called Mike's Toys and Stuff. He constantly surprises me because whenever I think that a Mayfix or a Figuarts or even a Sentinel, some kind of figure that needs to be imported, gets sold out on your traditional usual suspect sites like Hobby Link and Hobby Genki and what's another site that's like a Japanese Chinese site, take your pick. Whenever they sell out and I'm like, oh no, I missed out on it or something like that, few months later after the official release, after Hobby Link sends out theirs or whatever the case may be, Mike from Mike's Toys and Stuff on on his Instagram account posts a photo saying, hey, new figures in, and one of the figures is that figure, that import figure that I thought I missed out on, and he has it. He has stock on it. Not the greatest stock, not to the extent of like McFarlane or Marvel Legends, not that kind of stock. He gets like 2, 3, maybe 4 in, but just the fact that he has them, it's like, oh shit. So, I would say look around for your local spots, to see if maybe they're gonna get some in. You never know. Or some kind of like collectible vendor show like here in Southern California, Frankensons. Now, of course, that comes with a ginormous caveat, and that caveat is in the form of super upticked prices, because some of these vendors know that these things are in high demand, and I mean, there's no ifs or buts about it. They're going to take advantage. And you're looking at a LPZZ figure here where the MSRP, the window, the tier, the area, the ballpark of the price is somewhere between like $70 to $80. You'll get these sons of bitches in vendor shows charging about 100, 110, maybe even 120. Almost another 30 to 40% applied to it, so they can make that kickback, and it's just gonna happen. So, and when I say the aftermarket, as far as like eBay and all that's concerned, that's if you really, really want the figure. If you definitely feel like other things need to take priority as far as like the more budget-friendly Batman stuff like McFarlane or, like I mentioned before, Mayfix even, since they are a much more they're a company that's been around a little longer and you know exactly what kind of quality to expect, then prioritize that and then come back to LPZZ, especially after reviews such as mine possibly drop and you get a better insight as to what the figure is all about. So, as I was mentioning, like I said, I usually don't stream on Wednesday, but I have a video going up tomorrow, and I don't want the stream to kind of cannibalize that. I don't want to cannibalize that video. So, I have a video going up tomorrow for a Hot Toys figure. It's actually been a review that's been in the can for a while, and a somewhat older figure, which is why I don't expect it to to perform all that greatly, but at the same time, I need to get something up. Um, I'm actually kind of struggling right now with the content because man, a lot of conflicting things where I have one big project video that I'm actually pretty excited about, but realistically, I would have loved to have gotten this video up by this Sunday, but it's so massive, such an undertaking, that it's not going to be done in time for Sunday. It could have been done in time for like Wednesday or Thursday of next week, but what's then going to punt it even further to probably that weekend, so the weekend after this one coming up, so almost a week and a half from now. The reason for why you guys are it's going to have to wait even longer is because I still need to sit down and edit some stuff about it, but something that's kind of getting in the way of that, in a good way, in a good problem to have sort of way, is that a week from today, actually, exactly a week from today, me and the girlfriend are going to be taking a little mini vacation. Like, I really do mean mini, like 3 days, to San Diego. Now, you're probably thinking, San Diego Comic-Con? Yes and no. We're not... It's funny. We're going to San Diego. We're not actually attending Comic-Con in the truest sense. We don't have badges. We actually opted out of doing it. We went to San Diego this last year. For those of you who have been checking out the channel for a while and have been subscribed long enough, you'll note that I posted a vlog talking about the experience of how it was to attend Comic-Con and the panels and what the key takeaways of that was. And TLDW is that at the end of that video, I pretty much said that it was a good experience that I don't regret having, but in my current juncture in life, I'd rather take the amount of money that I tallied up that we made, that we spent on attending Comic-Con, and rather just put it towards just other stuff. It was a hefty chunk of money and time and energy that I'm glad that I went to San Diego Comic-Con, but my first guttural reaction afterwards was that I'm kind of good on the next year. To the point where later on in 2024, I think it was in October or November, when they announced what they called early bird badge purchasing, whatever that was called, where people who attended the year prior get first dibs on badges for the following year. Me and the girlfriend opted out. We were like, no, we're good. We didn't buy any. And then later, when it was open to the general public, we still didn't buy any. So we don't got badges to Comic-Con. We're not going to Comic-Con. We're not actually going into the convention. We're not seeing any panels, which is a little strange because I do follow certain Instagram and Twitter accounts that talk about the panels that are going to be happening related to like McFarlane toys and Marvel Legends and Batman related stuff and Spider-Man related stuff. And there's like that little part of my brain that's like, ooh, this panel's happening. And then I'm like, wait, David, you're not actually going to Comic-Con. You're going to San Diego, but you're not going to Comic-Con. That's the difference. So the reason for why we're going to San Diego as like a little vacation is because I'm going to keep it vague just in case, even though there was like no NDA, no thing that I signed, but just in case, I'll keep things on the down low and you guys will then see exactly what I'll be doing in town when those videos then get produced and put together, because I will be making content out of this. But I got invited to 2 events in San Diego of 2 companies that are going to be obviously in town for San Diego Comic-Con because it's a good like business venture. So me and my girlfriend are going to be gone from Wednesday the 23rd, a week from today, to then to Friday the 25th. So Wednesday, I don't know if is this public knowledge? Let me double check that this is public knowledge. Because if this is up on the internet, then I'm like, all right. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on the internet, so just in case, I'm not going to mention anything just yet. Yeah, so I'll just say that there's a couple of... oh, wait, no, here we go. I'll keep it vague still. But basically, I have two events that I got invited to. The first one's on Wednesday, and then the second one's on Friday. So Thursday, me and the girlfriend are still gonna be in San Diego, and we figured, you know what? It's perfect. It's a perfect sandwich, a perfect nerd sandwich. Wednesday we have one event, grab ourselves some dinner, check into the Airbnb. Friday is the second event. Practically do the same kind of thing as far as scheduling, and then call it at that. So since Thursday we don't have any event that I got invited to cover from a content standpoint, you know what would probably be appropriate to do that Thursday? Bite the bullet. I know it sounds condescending, but it is what it is. And go and check out Fantastic Four. So that Thursday, me and the girlfriend are gonna go watch Fantastic Four in IMAX there in San Diego. I already scoped out the tickets, and so that's pretty much our schedule. Wednesday, one event. Thursday, Fantastic Four. Friday, the second event. And that'll be our little mini vacation. And be back Friday night. So, obviously, it's funny. It's because it's going to be a vacation for both business and pleasure. Because the business conducted will be showcased on the channel. And it is content for the channel. But because I'll be away, that'll also be taking me away from the computer to edit, which will then put a slight little time hindrance, energy hindrance, on this big project that I had lined up for that Wednesday or whatever, because I'll also be too busy prepping for these events. So that's why I thought about it. I'm like, fuck, this big project, this like hour-long video is not gonna go up until probably that Saturday, the 26th or whatever. So I've been like moving things around and just trying to figure out exactly how to plan these videos out. And that's why I thought to myself, you know what, since next week is pretty much a guarantee that I won't be streaming because of this vacation to San Diego, let me stream today to get this stream out of the way. Tomorrow, that Hot Toys review, and kind of go on from there as far as the content and see what I can kind of like strategize and move things around. But yeah, it's been a little challenging to look at which content will perform well, because I'll be honest with you guys, like, I don't know if it's because we're not spending too much time indoors because it's summer or what, but it also seems like I'm not the only one that's dealing with these problems, but viewership on the channel is a little lower, and I'm just trying to like strategize to see what does well, what people are watching, not just for my channel but for others. Because, like I said, from certain angles, it really does look like, a little while ago, people were wondering if everybody's becoming too quick to be a creator, that we just don't have enough watchers. You know what I mean? Like, everybody wanting to be a content creator because they figured out that they could make a living off of it, that now it's, when everybody's a creator, then nobody's a watcher. And that's where I'm like, I think we're now... That's no longer an exaggeration, no longer a hyperbole. It's actually kind of becoming true, and I'm like, shit. TRD, welcome to stream. I really want that LPZZ, but only place I see it left in stock is Toku Collectibles for 130 after shipping. That, and I have no idea who Toku Collectibles is, so take that with a grain of salt. Now, in this stream, I did want to talk about some Superman movie spoilers. How many of you guys have seen Superman? Because there's a part of me that wants to jump into the spoiler talk real quick, but at the same time, if I also kind of wanted to give it a few minutes and jumpstart and kind of like pace it out well by starting off with some actual like action figure talk. Specifically with McFarlane Toys, because they teased something that I got pretty excited about a little while back, to the point where I think we're coming up on 2 weeks since. This is kind of old news, admittingly. It's old news, but I'm kind of surprised that it's not being talked. Like, it was talked about for a hot minute, for like a day, maybe 2 days, and then afterwards it just kind of died down, because I feel like the key takeaway shouldn't be about the actual product showcased or teased, but rather the yeah, Alex is already kind of touching base on it, but rather what it could lead to the potential. So I guess we'll start off with this first before jumping into any kind of like spoiler discussion related to Superman or anything like that. Since I feel like this one, I think more and more people will have some kind of opinion, some kind of take on it, which would be that during the Montreal Comic Con, which I gotta be honest, I had no idea that Montreal could have a Comic Con to begin with. But naturally, McFarlane would show something in Montreal since he is a fellow Canadian. He would take something to bring attention to said Comic Con in the form of a McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse, the Batman 2022 Batmobile. Which is actually now kind of surprising that we haven't gotten already. Since then, not only has the movie been out for quite literally years, to the point where people are still wondering why the hell it took so long to get a script made for part 2, but also, considering all the stuff that James Gunn's doing with the DCU and whatnot, but also the fact that it seemed like McFarlane was kind of done with the line, with its already fair share of vehicles in the form of the drifter bike and the actual bat cycle. So it's pretty curious to see that he's finally checking some boxes off in terms of fan demand by giving us more Batmobile. And one of those is a Pattinson Batmobile, which not only got showcased in this box here, which is most definitely a I don't know how I guess you could call it a prototype box, because if you look a little carefully, I don't know if it's just something in my brain, something's a little off about the logos and the stamps and the little bit of architecture illustration happening with the pictures. Because if you look a little careful, is it just me, or is the gold label sticker supposed to be like right at the edge, and yet you have this empty space between the rim of the box, or like the corner of the box, and the gold label sticker or the stamp? Like, it's supposed to be at the very edge, and yet it's kind of off to closer to the center, and I'm like, that looks a little off. And then furthermore, you have the actual logo for the Batman movie, as well as the DC Multiverse logo, which I'll take back what I said in that Superman video comparison video, because I thought to myself that they were going to only utilize this logo for the movies, the Superman movie stuff, but now it looks like they're also going to be utilizing it on the new DC Multiverse line for the remainder of 2025 and probably the first half of 2026. So it's being utilized here as well with the slanted kind of like off-skew logo. But the logo in and of itself, the DC Multiverse logo, you'll notice is also a little off-center, because it's usually lined up with this little white tab that usually has the name of the product, and yet it's off to the center. It looks off. So I'm like, yeah, this is definitely a box that they probably just printed one of, got it got it manufactured from the factory in some generic cardboard. None of the durable stuff that usually gets taken to mass production, just so they can have a mock-up, if you will, to show off on floor for Montreal Comic Con. But it's the box at the end of the day. What you really want to see is the actual prototype of the vehicle itself, which you can see right here behind a glass, what appears to be a glass detail case that's also filled with other McFarlane products. Down here at the bottom, I can make out that little resin Batman statue. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't think it's Batman. I think it's a black and white Azrael, if I'm not mistaken. That one, the resin statue down there. As well as the more cowls, like the Batman 66 1/3 scale cowl down there. And then this one, I have no idea which one this one is. But inside of that detail, the main attraction was in fact the Pattinson Batmobile, which is of course modeled after a very heavily modified, muscle car, decked out in black with a little bit of curvature towards the back to resemble wings. But obviously this is meant to be this like muscle car sort of aesthetic, but with all the gears, the little bit of the pointed edges here to mimic that of ears, kind of giving it that influence from maybe the animated series. But again, I'm remarking on the actual design that you see in the movie, along with the engine and then of course the Spitfire here towards the back. But you can definitely make out from the quality of the plastic and a little bit of the lacking of the paint that we have criticized McFarlane before, that this is in fact one of the prototypes that is very, very likely closer to what we're going to get off release. And again, as I mentioned before, sculpt-wise, molding-wise, it looks pretty nice as far as what you get for the price, but I still wish that we could take a few extra measures, especially considering that this is considered a gold label, or at least it's going to be marked as a gold label, which means it might be exclusive to a particular retailer or retailers and not be mass, across all retailers. So my guess is that McFarlane is probably going to give this the same treatment as like the animated series Batmobile, where it might just be a Target exclusive, because it's got the gold label sticker, so it's got to be, funneled to just one retailer. It's not going to be available across the board to where that morning it's going to be ready to go on like Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth. Let's cut down to the bottom line. Also, by the way, Dark Side Justice League right here on the 2021 Zack Snyder Justice League. Interesting that that's in the box in there. Is that like a repaint or a variant or something like that? Because that figure is old. It's been out for a while, so I'm wondering why that was included in the box. I don't know if it's like foreshadowing something. I don't know if it's like a reference to an upcoming prototype, release, project, whatnot. But as far as what I'm seeing of the Batmobile itself, it's kind of, like I said, following a similar level of consistency with the other Batmobiles that we've gotten in recent times, as far as the Batman Forever, the Batman and Robin, the animated series, which is effectively just taken from the DC Direct version and just kind of giving it that McFarlaneized treatment, as well as the Tumbler, where for the price point, it's not bad, but the main department that it's always just a little on the undercut side is paint applications. Sculpt work, quality of the plastic, and even adding in some light and sound effects like the Batman Forever, that is quality, that is awesome. But I just wish that attention to including those gimmicks will then be applied to something that's a bit more on the objective technical side, which is paint apps. And it looks like this Batmobile looks pretty business from the front and pretty effective from the front from far away. But when we get a little up close to that Spitfire, thank God for whoever took these photos to showcase, again, something that hopefully there's enough time to rectify, which would be applying a few more extra paint apps on either the Spitfire engine here towards the back, maybe adding a little bit of airbrush to the muzzles down here at the bottom, or applying, that's not too bad for like the dash stickers, because it's always going to end up being stickers. I'm just wondering about the space, because it looks like the door is going to be functional. The doors always end up being functional on the Batmobiles. But I'm hoping that this door is completely functional in a way where we can prop in the McFarlane Pattinson Batman, whether it be the singular release from back in 2022 or the Ultimate Movie 6-pack, which is probably going to be the preferred one since that one came with the cloth cape, so it's going to be much more manageable to flush right in, and he won't have the side eye. The only downside is he's going to have two fists, so putting it by the wheel is going to be a little strange, unless you want to swap out the hands for the one that came in that singular release, along with the extra hand that came inside of the Bat Cycle. So effectively, you need three figures to complete the overall image of making it look like he's actually driving the Batmobile, which is something to consider. It's funny, that's something that just popped into my brain. You technically need to own 3 products to complete that overall appearance. If you don't get bugged by like the minute details, just put in any Pattinson Batman. But if you want like the definitive look of Pattinson Batman driving this Batmobile, you technically need the standalone release, because he comes with one open hand to hold the grapple. To hold the grapple, I think it was, or the battering. I can't remember, because that singular release came with one open and one fisted hand. The Ultimate Movie 6-pack comes with the cloth cape. That's much more manageable, but only 2 fists. But then the Bat Cycle came with that its other opposing open hand, so that then you could swap it for the standalone release's fists, so that then he can hold the handlebars on the Bat Cycle. And then that will then give you the hands necessary to hold the wheel for this guy. Holy shit! Isn't that... yeah, that would... damn. But that's, again, only if you're a perfectionist. Is every single McFarlane Toys collector going to do that? No. Is it possible that you could maybe just take some other Batman figure's hands and just swap it out without paying attention to the little details that he's got on the top part of the hand? Sure. But, that, like I said, that's only if you're a perfectionist. That's it. And like somebody mentioned here in the comment, like the fact that he went back and is still completing the Batmobiles is pretty remarkable, because for all intents and purposes, like the movie's been out for 3 years. He didn't really have to go back to this, and yet he did, because like I said, somebody at either, whether it be Todd himself or what is most likely, I will admit it's much more likelier of this scenario, somebody on the marketing team or on the creator team told to Todd and said, hey, we might be losing the license. Let's give the people what they want. Let's go through those comment sections. Let's go through those YouTube videos. Let's go through those Facebook posts, etc. and see what is like ranking up there as far as like most demanded, what people are consistently asking for. Because for the longest time, people kept talking about a year one Batman, year one Batman, year one Batman. We got a year one Batman. Sure, came with the caveat of being a Walmart and McFarlane Toy Store exclusive, but it got released. It got made to a certain extent, even if it's taking some DC Rebirth parts, but at least it's, kind of appearing as a year one Batman. We're recently getting a Troika Batman and a No Man's Land Batman coming up here pretty soon. And me personally would love an absolute Batman, the yoked up bodybuilder Batman. But if we are to shift the attention to Batmobiles that we want to see getting this kind of treatment, this look back treatment, even if it ends up being a gold label and gets unfortunately locked behind some kind of exclusivity with a retailer, what's a Batmobile that some of you guys would like to see? Comment guy, welcome to stream. You're not really all that late, well, about half hour, but we technically just started this topic. Kevbot, welcome to stream. Let me catch up on some of you guys' comments here. Chippy Cast, welcome. Yeah, it's weird, but honestly, nothing meaningful. I think they're using this logo with the returns theatrical. Oh, you mean like the slanted DC one? Yeah. And it also depends on price, because if this guy ends up with lights and sounds like the Batman Forever, then I can definitely see $70 to $80, and I'll be like, and it'll be to scale with the 7-inch figures. So we're looking at what, like this, $70 to $80, and it does come. Here's the thing, I almost kind of want to say, just like I mentioned, I guess like a hair in my mouth, it won't come out. Just like I mentioned in my review for that Batman Forever Batmobile, the fact that you went to the extent of including lights and sounds, and you were able to do it at this price point and still move a lot of units, it's going to be really difficult for you to go back and be like, oh, we're not going to do it anymore. It's like, well, I'm sorry, but if you're not going to do it anymore, then that means you got to lower that price accordingly. And I feel like there's opportunity for this Batman, this Pattinson 2022 Batmobile to include those lights and sounds, to have maybe not the Spitfire, like I can't get this hair in my mouth. There's opportunity, maybe not through the Spitfire, but let's go back to that picture, actually. Because, I'll be honest, I think there's a way that we can make that red light at the front light up. And then in regards to sounds, one of the reasons for why people remembered Pattinson's Batmobile was because that screeching sound effect it made when it was revving up, and Penguin's just standing there like... I mean, that is the sound effect you got to include there, the rev up sound. So the recipe is there. It's just a matter of whether or not they want to flip the switch, both figuratively and literally, to include sound, light and sound effects. I keep wanting to say sights and sounds. Light and sound effects. And there's a good recipe to include it in there. And if you do, sure, 70 to 80 bucks, and I can see it be included in there. Another big question is whether or not it's going to come included with a bonus figure, because the Batman Forever got included with Alfred from pretty much all of those 4 Burton Schumacher movies. Will this guy come included with a figure? If the mock-up of the box is anything to go by, which I can tell you right now, it's a bit of a mock-up considering how a little askew some of these logos are, I'm assuming it's just going to be the vehicle. And since then, they have released another Batmobile that only came with just the vehicle and no bonus figure, which was the Batman and Robin one. And priced it accordingly, like I said. Well, mostly. It was like $100, but it was more plastic because that Batman and Robin Batmobile is so massive that you have to include, by force, more plastic. And on top of that, it came with the lights and sound. So it's like $100. Now, confession time, to this day, I still have not bought the Batman and Robin Batmobile, and since then, there's actually been quite a bit of opportunity to buy it at a discounted price. I think actually last week, it was up, I think it was up for Prime Day for like a 25% off, down to like $75. Unfortunately, I'm still in a position where if I had like an actual full-time job right now, I would say, yeah, I would have pulled the trigger on it and done a review. But right now, being that my only income is what I get from YouTube, which is not, let's just put it this way, it's not full-time money, I'd rather prioritize towards the things that I know people are looking out for on YouTube. And unfortunately, when it comes to that Batman and Robin Batmobile, it's been out for so long that people aren't looking out for that. And I noticed that vehicles don't do as well as the actual figures on YouTube. Not just for my channel, but for anybody's channel. I've done the research, and it's just, and it makes sense because the vehicles are, at the end of the day, despite being vehicles, possible hot take here, but they are technically, by definition, accessories to the figures, because you can get a cool vehicle, but at the end of the day, you want to put a Batman in there. You want to put a Batman in there. Whereas a Batman figure, sometimes you're so dead set on wanting to get it that it's Batman. It's an actual, humanoid figure. And I think the thing that we're all capable of seeing the common denominator on is cheaper. The vehicles end up being kind of like a luxury purchase at that point. And because of where I'm at financially, that's how I see it. So I'll be treating the vehicles the same way. John Wolf, Detective Crusader, welcome to the stream. So a lot of you are actually pointing out what I mainly took away from this tease, because the Pattinson Batmobile is pretty cool. Was it like high ranking in Batmobiles that I would have liked to have seen McFarlane do with this possible alleged last year of the DC license? Technically, no. Probably top 5, but literally at number 5 or number 4. Beating out the Pattinson Batmobile, though, some of you already mentioned it in the comment section, and I'm hoping that McFarlane, willing to go back to a 3-year-old property like the Pattinson Batman, gives me hope that maybe we will finally see Arkham Batmobiles. Please. Arkham Batmobiles would be sick. And notice that I said Arkham because I would gladly take both. It'll probably, from a business venture perspective, it would probably make much more sense to do the Arkham Knight one, since how predominant that goddamn thing showed up in the game, and how, for lack of a better term, we were forced to use it in Arkham Knight. But the vehicle itself not only looked badass, played badass, dealt damage badass, it was just the balancing that we had a problem with in Arkham Knight, as far as how the game was kind of like telling us, well, now you have to play with the Batmobile. And I'm like, well, I just want to be Batman and take it down badass. Too bad, use the Batmobile. That was our problem. The Batmobile in and of itself was not bad. It was cool. So whenever we get like a physical representation of that thing, whether it be in the collector's edition of the game back in 2015, or the RC, or I think Hot Wheels did an RC, There was one other company that I think did like a little model kit. If McFarlane were to give it that treatment the same way that they gave the Keaton Batmobile when it was first getting released with like the Flash figures back in 2023, because at the time, the only way to get a Keaton Batmobile was either as a Hot Wheels, as a Jada Toys 1/18th scale. I think it was like the biggest scale that they had at the time. I might be wrong about that. Or completely opposite side of the spectrum, Hot Toys with that $700, $800 motherfucker. So McFarlane saw a good opportunity in the market from the middle, saying, all right, 60, $70, you get this thing that is, of course, still made out of a durable plastic, but it's plastic nonetheless. But it's something that you can, you can wiggle out of your budget and go, yes, I can finally get one, and I could put my 7-inch Keaton. Imagine being able to take my 7-inch Arkham Knight Batman and put it into those tanks. Now, as much as I would love to see that, I think the only little crux that the R&D team over at McFarlane would have to jump hoops through would be whether or not to just have it be in its standard vehicle mode or actually incorporate the tank mode in it. Or make two. One that's just vehicle and one that's tank. Do you think that either of those is going to happen? My money would be actually on no. I think they'll probably just go with a safe bet and just say just vehicle. It doesn't switch. It doesn't have the wheels prop. I would bust a nut if they have a McFarlane toy show and they reveal not only are we getting Arkham Knight Batmobile, but even though the price might escalate to a good $110, $120, but they'll be like, hey, $120? But it's got lights and sounds. It's got a functioning canopy. You can open the back to reveal the passenger extra seats, of which he was kept by where he held criminals, where he was escorting people. If you know, you know. And it switches into tank mode, where you can plop out the wheels. They rotate. You can then take the turret as like a separate piece and mount it on top. If it's got these transformative features to it, but they say, hey, it's going to be like 120, 130, I'll be like, Fry from Futurama, take my money. I hate to say it, but that would win me. That would be, if that could be like their last vehicle to go out on and release it like summer of next year to be like, hey, this is how we're going out with the DC license. After this, no more vehicles. I'll be like, fuck it, do it. Do it. If that's the how you go out, Arkham Knight Batmobile, but it's got the transforming effect to go from tank to vehicle. I would do it. But some of you guys, and going back to, before I lose my train of thought, I mentioned Arkham Knight would probably be the safe choice because of recency bias, because it's the one that was most emphatic. But there's a soft part of me that, even though this is highly, 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 like 98.7% unlikely, it would be sick if McFarlane would also give some scraps to some of us in the form of like a Big Bad Toy Store exclusive or Entertainment Earth exclusive. That's it. Fan channel. No more. Just a select stock and make a Arkham Asylum Batmobile. The Corvette looking one, because I have a soft spot for that Batmobile and really wish we could have seen more of it. Hell, to the point where I could be wrong, but oh yeah, no, yeah, I got destroyed in Arkham Asylum, because I was like, why wasn't it in Arkham City? And I'm like, oh yeah, I got destroyed. And Arkham City takes place like literally months after Asylum. So yeah, Arkham Asylum Batmobile, that Corvette-ish looking, that very sleek cylindrical one, that would be amazing. But like I said, I am already conceded to the notion that is, if they were to pick an Arkham Batmobile to make a vehicle out of, it'll be Arkham Knight. It won't be Arkham Asylum. It would be amazing. Jumping outside of that, though, I know that some other people mentioned here a BBS / Justice League Batmobile, the much more spaceship-looking one. I know a lot of people have been. I gotta be honest, another fact that I'll concede to. That's another one that I would probably say has a likelier chance of getting made versus any of the Arkham series vehicles. Would probably be Justice League Batman, because he's already put out two or three Batfleck figures. Most recently, he delved back into the VVS line, and that shit sold quite an awful lot as far as the armored Batman, as far as the Nightmare Batman, and then, of course, getting that BVS proper suit Batman that got released in March of last year. So it's been a little over a year, almost a year and a quarter or something like that. So if I was a betting man, I would say we'll sooner get a BVS / Justice League Batmobile off of the Affleck Batman before Arkham Knight. But Arkham Knight or Arkham Batmobiles in general are not taken out of the cards. They're just not first in line. Yeah, if anything, if I was to make a prediction for San Diego Comic-Con next week of McFarlane making a huge announcement at their panel, which they are having a panel, I would say that they're likelier to announce a Justice League Batmobile then. No Arkham Knights. It would be amazing if they would have some Arkham Batmobiles, but I think they're going to be quicker to release or announce, as to say, let's call it a Zack Snyder Batmobile, sooner than that. And then I think somebody else here, like Bones, said a 66 Adam West one. The caveat to that is that technically they already released one, but it was under the DC Direct label. So I don't know what else they could make with that. But one good devil's advocate in your favor, Bones, is that DC Direct one was for the 6-inch Adam West figures. Those like the ones that have like lesser articulation, that were shorter, that were like in the bubble packaging, that were kind of like their own thing. Since that 66 DC Direct Batmobile got released, McFarlane has made a proper DC Multiverse 7-inch Adam West with all those accessories and the cloth cape and all that stuff, which is one of my favorite Batman releases last year, which is surprising because I'm not the biggest Adam West fan, but that figure was legitimately awesome. So I guess it's kind of overdue for a 66 Adam West Batmobile to go with the 7-inch Adam West Batman. I guess we could also throw that in as far as checkbox vehicles. And ultimately, these opportunities for the remaining year of the license is definitely what I first thought of when I saw the Pattinson Batmobile. More so than actually the Pattinson Batmobile in and of itself. It's neat, it's cool, but the thing that came to the front of my mind was mainly if he's willing and the company's willing to go back to Pattinson Batmobile, can we go back a little further? And I'm hoping they do. Alex, you said these ads are getting on my nerves, I swear. How often are you getting ads? I really do want to gauge this because I have the setting for every 30 minutes. I made sure to put it at a good, block where I'm 30 minutes, every 30 minutes. And I've been live for 48, so technically there should have only been one ad break. And we should be coming up on a second one, but I have the setting for every 30 minutes. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't abrasive because I've been watching some YouTube streams where I'm watching and it's almost like it's every 10 minutes that these people put ads, and I'm like, all right, space it out. It's a stream. It's not a video, it's a stream. Let me double check. Yeah, they say estimated frequency. I put 30 minutes, every 30 minutes. Oh, I do have the checkbox that says show ads to viewers at different times to maximize the revenue. So it should be every 30 minutes from when you start watching. But I have it set at 30 minutes. It shouldn't be bad. Hopefully. I've had 3 ads since it started, says Bones. Oh, shit. I think I might have to fix this. Because even I think that's a little nuts. Should I... Oh, here's the thing. Every 30 minutes is actually the maximum. Pfft. I gotta be honest. There should be every 45 minutes option. Yeah, that is the maximum. There should be every 45 minutes and every hour. And maybe the hour should be the maximum. But yeah, 30 minutes is the maximum. Because under that, it's every 24, every 18, every 12, which that's ridiculous. And then every 6. Fuck you, whoever does that. So if anything, maybe I'll uncheck the show ads to viewers at different times to maximize revenue. I'm going to uncheck that because if you guys are making it known in the comments, then I'll go ahead and uncheck that. Hopefully it doesn't mess with the stream too much. And Alex, I just saw your comment that you agreed with me that you prefer the Asylum Batmobile. Arkham Knight is honestly mid, I guess because it's not normal or definitive. Yeah, I mean, you could tell that when they designed it, they were favoring the function that was going to have in the game. Bones, how much do they charge over there for the Batmobiles? Because over here, they started at 60/70 back when we started to get like the Keaton Batmobile back in 2023. Since then, they're starting to go up to like 80, 90, and even $100, like the Batman and Robin one. But to balance it out, they at least include the lights and sounds features. So it at least has an explanation as to why they get pricier. Yeah, so far it looks like that's like the top 3 or 4 that you guys would like to see for Batmobiles is Arkham Batmobiles. So either the Asylum or Knight, 66 Adam West, and BVS/Justice League, which would make sense. Like those are the 3 that McFarlane should go out on. And like I said, I'm hoping that we're giving a little bit of a reprieve by the fact that they're willing to go back to Pattinson Batman and give us that. So we'll see. And Injustice Red Hood would be needed. They made the whole roster, not including the DC DLC characters. I feel like that's a good point, but I feel like the problem with that, Alex, would be that there's just way too many characters to meta. So I think they bit off more than they could chew, which is why we only got like a chunk of Injustice characters. Like the Supergirl, Batman, obviously. Superman barely got a standalone release. Green Arrow and Batman and Supergirl got like page punchers. Who else was in there? Dr. Fate. And who else? What other Injustice 2 character? Oh, Flash, which I actually really liked. But I think somewhere in that line they got tired and they were like, these things are sitting. Let's stop. Bones, you said pounds, so I'm assuming you're UK. 120. So about a $20, $30 increment. It sucks, but it sounds kind of right because I know that in the UK, that especially to ship overseas, since McFarlane is based here in the US, not as a manufacturer, because I know they manufacture in China, but as a headquarters, as like a LLC, they're US. Why are there so many ads? Okay, I'm gonna have to look at that because I have it set at the maximum time of 30 minutes. I don't know why that is. I have it set at in the monetization section. I made sure that whenever I do streams, I have it at the maximum of amount of time to pass before an ad shows, which is 30 minutes. I didn't want it to be crazy. Or maybe I should choose because there's 2 options and there's one that says, let YouTube insert mid-rolls for you. Recommended. YouTube will determine which ad formats are best. Should I click that one then? Maybe I'll click that one. Because I didn't know the ads were that bad, but like I said, I made it a point when I started to frequently live stream to make sure that the ads were not placed together. I have it in the settings, 30 minutes. And if anything, I was hoping that there would be like a 45-minute section. John Wolf, that's a good point. Maybe they're hinting at a BVS Justice League Batmobile, since we just got earlier this year, or late last year, I think it was, like December, January. They dipped their toes back into the BVS stuff, sold really well. A lot of people picked it up, and overall it did pretty nicely. I think the least performing product out of the whole line was the Superman Doomsday set, and for good reason. I covered it in a short. But since then, they even went back with that Alfred, that standalone Alfred, which frankly I still haven't picked up. But at the same time, I didn't see it. For a little while, it looked like it was peg warming, but then afterwards, I haven't seen it in a while. So I'm wondering if it actually managed to move, just in the nick of time. What's your most favorite Batmobile live action? I don't know if it's because of a nostalgic bias. Live action. Live action. I'm going to give you a cop-out answer. One is nostalgic, and then the other one is functionality. Pragmatism. The nostalgic one is Batman Forever. I actually like that slick, Corvette-y. I like those like things around the wheels that make it look like that 1950s car, but that it's got the black, ridges and gills to make it look lifelike. But then you got the fins poking out that are very emblematic Batman. And from kid to even now, anytime that there's a physical manifestation in toy form, whether it be, I'm still waiting. I know that Jazz Inc. made one, but there's still a part of me that wishes Hot Toys would try to make a Hot Toys Batman Forever Batmobile. Because Jazz Inc., as meticulous as they are with the detail and all that stuff, at the same time, I'm like, I ain't got $1,000, dude. Like, I can't do that. I don't have $1,000 to just spend like that. That's ridiculous. Guys, I'll be right back. I gotta check on the kitchen. My mom left some beans boiling for dinner. I gotta make sure that they don't burn. Okay. Nothing's been burned yet. Mine is Robert Pattinson. Okay, so I left you on a cliffhanger. That's the nostalgic one. The nostalgic one is the Batman Forever Batmobile. The pragmatic one, the Tumbler from Batman Begins. I know it's got like the least Batman-esque qualities to it because it's practically just a black tank. But, and trust me, even as a kid, I was like, it just looks like a tank. That's it. I was indifferent to it. I was like, I don't care for it. It's whatever. It's supposed to be grounded, realistic. Don't care for it. Over the past couple of, I want to say ever since like somewhere around like 2017, 2018, I started to look at the Tumblr more and be like, I kind of dig it. I kind of dig that it's tanky, but it's not just your generic tank. It starts to get, and in the behind the scenes features, they kept mentioning how it would be like if a tank and a Lamborghini were to have sex. And that's pretty much what the Tumblr is. And I'm like, yeah, now I can't unsee it. I see it. And ever since then, I'm like, all right, I like it better. To the point where I'm not in any rush to spend the money, but whenever I got expendable income, I'll start looking in the aftermarket for the Hot Toys tumbler. What the fuck? We just got some breaking news. Well, it's not really breaking, but I think we should take a quick look at this. Hold on. Let me look at some of your guys' comments before I move on to this breaking, quote unquote, breaking news. Kev, but I don't pay for many subscriptions, but YouTube Premium is the exception. Haven't seen an ad in years. Yeah, that's a good point, Catbot. But to this day, I still haven't like enforced anybody to buy YouTube Premium, because it's one of those cases where whenever I hear a creator say, "Oh, just buy YouTube Premium," and I'm like, that's a solution for a problem that they created. If they weren't pushing the ads so much, we wouldn't need YouTube Premium. It's not like a different, you know what I mean? Like, YouTube Premium should be the solution that another company is offering for YouTube. But the fact that YouTube is the one that's, upping these ads when you don't want to. Because if people are saying that ads are going crazy on my stream, but I have the setting to like the most maximum gap of time between ads, and yet you guys are still seeing like 3 ads in that time, I'm like, then YouTube is screwing me over, or kind of, sort of, because that's not what I agreed to. So hopefully me switching the setting to the thing that said recommended will hopefully space it out. Maybe it'll perform a little better, because again, that's not what I agreed to. But if that's the case, then that just further enforces why I hate recommending YouTube Premium, because it's like, well, we wouldn't need to if YouTube wasn't posting so many ads in the first place. Like, the hell? That's not my problem. I didn't hit that. Huh. Hold on, let me see if I could save this. Is this a leak? I mean, it's not super urgent, but at the same time, I'm like, what the hell is this? Yeah, it's not on their official... It must have been a leak, because it's not even on their official Twitter. Something tells me if I check out the McFarlane Reddit, somebody must have posted it. Here we go. Somebody posted it. Because I'm like, it's not on the Reddit. It's not on the... And even the picture's not even full quality. That's how I know. I'm like, yeah, I don't think... The Spectre, welcome to stream. Bro's edging us. What do you mean? I'm just pulling it up. Let's see what it is. And then Bone's like, I know what it is. And it's not like the biggest deal, but where do I have... There it is. Okay. We're getting a do-over. Peacemaker McFarlane figure. And it's technically, it's kind of a leak, but kind of not, because it's an official promo photo. But you can tell it, like, I think this got accidentally posted, maybe. And you notice how blurry it is, so it's probably like a screenshot. But we're getting another Peacemaker figure, only this time I call it a do-over, because you guys know that one of the big criticisms with that original Peacemaker that came in the Suicide Squad wave was criticized for not having a gun because it's Peacemaker. He's supposed to have a gun. Looks like we're finally correcting that because he's got the pistol and Eagly included. My guess is that this thing's going to be probably a collector's edition. The looks... Would you call this a theatrical edition even though it's a TV show? I don't know. With that said, I don't know if that's the strongest John Cena likeness. Not only am I not certain that's the strongest John Cena likeness, but why are we missing a torso joint? We're missing a torso joint. Why do we not have a torso joint? Huh. So take this with a grain of salt. Like, unless McFarlane themselves posts it or does something about it, this could be like this might not be like, because like I said, it's the combination of the mid torso joint lacking and then the likeness on the face that I'm a little like, how real is this? But I if one good takeaway to have is that the fact that they're fixing the whole no gun thing. We're having a gun, and from what I can tell, this is in fact going to be a 17 plus figure, just like with recent reissues that came with the Grim Knight, came with Batman Who Laughs, and the Merciless. It makes sense. And the Nightmare Batman set. BVS Nightmare Batman Armor Batman set. The helmet is an empty helmet. Does this mean he's gonna have a second sculpt with the head, helmetized head, or is this simply gonna be interchangeable? Is that why they went with the weird likeness, so that they shrunk the head to make sure that you can put the helmet on? Maybe. But it's a Peacemaker figure. It looks interesting, but I'll hold out reservation because, like I said, this is an unofficial unveiling. I feel like somebody posted a picture too early, and it kind of got out there. What do you guys make out of that? I can see it in his glasses. God damn it. But like I said, that got posted on the Reddit. That got posted on the thing. So that was my initial reaction to it. Well, to be honest, Alex, I didn't know that they were making Peacemaker figures. This one kind of caught me off guard. But there could be room for a good set like Bones was mentioning, where like maybe they could do a vigilante. There's one other character, I have no idea what's his name, because guys, I'm gonna make a confession here. Still haven't watched Peacemaker. Not that I don't want to, but because me and the girlfriend, we did like Suicide Squad a lot. We do like Peacemaker a lot as far as the character, even though he's not a great character. He's not a good guy, but we liked watching the character. It's a compelling character. And we did make a vow that we were going to watch that show together. Unfortunately, though, we just haven't had the time. Other things have been taking a little bit priority as far as trying to like avoid spoilers and things like that. That we just fell kind of behind on Peacemaker. And now with Superman out of the way, and with season 2 right around the corner, last night actually I told my girlfriend, like, hey, in the next like week or so when we hang out, we gotta boot up Peacemaker and get a couple of episodes out, because I still have not watched Peacemaker. But I know that there's a character in there that's got like horns, and he kind of looks devilish. He's got like red. Could probably be a good figure to make as part of this like wave. Big Rib, welcome to the stream. Bones, that quote, did you read that somewhere, or you're just spitballing? Oh, the Red Dragon, I think that's his name. Oh, okay, I mean, he kind of looks like a red dragon, so yeah. I saw a screen. I just know that I saw a screenshot. Alex, did you not hear me just say that I haven't seen the show? Thank you, Alex. Thank you. Could have just called it the White Dragon, but you had to put that part at the beginning there. You didn't hear me say just now that I didn't watch the show. And that's why, like, these days I'm not quick to, like, put so much weight on shit, because people are just so quick to spoil that I'm like, all right, if I just don't give any kind of like emotional investment into this, then I have nothing to get upset about. You know, that's. That's why, like, you know, when it comes to what was it? Ironheart. Like, I didn't even bother watching that. I just spoiled it for myself because I'm like, A, I'm not liking this character, and then B, you know, when something comes out, it gets spoiled immediately. So I'm like, why do I even bother? Why do I try? And that's why I didn't. That's why it's been so long that I haven't caught up on Peacemaker, because other shows that I was prioritizing for that reason, to avoid the spoilers, because I know that if I don't catch up, people are gonna go on fucking TikTok and Instagram and be like, "Look at this!" For the, you know, it's just a, you know, they take like a spoilery clip and then just put that stupid ass filter over it for the clicks, for engagement. And that's it. They don't even change anything about it or make any kind of commentary on it. And that's why that's why me and the girlfriend prioritized those shows, and we slipped up on Peacemaker. Oh well. Oh well. So yeah, if anything, I'll probably keep refreshing McFarlane's page to see if like they make an official posting. Because at first I thought, okay, maybe it was there and I just missed it, but because I saw like the Warhammer stuff, the McFarlane digital stuff, the movie Maniac. I mean, no, yeah, the Office Dwight Schrute, and the Music Mania's Rob Halford. But I'm like, where's this Peacemaker thing? Because I'm like, no, they haven't posted it. Interesting. Okay, so we talked about the Batmobiles. Like I said, the implications of what it could have in the future, whether or not we will see something announced at San Diego Comic-Con next week in regards to not only the Batmobiles, the potential of the future Batmobiles, the potential of what we could get released later on in the second half of this year, since we're officially halfway through 2025. Where the hell are those Batman Returns figures? See if there's an update on that, and go from there. So this whole time I was subconsciously thinking of this decision, and I went ahead and made it. Since we ended up taking up quite a bit of time talking about those Batmobiles, and since I saw a few of you mention that you have still not seen Superman and will like mute the stream or come back or don't mind spoilers or anything like that, I'm like, you know what? We'll just bypass that. Screw it. Like I said, that's not in that, and I mean, let's just be honest. Not even the original, actual spoiler-free review did that well on the channel, anyways. So I'm like, all right, why am I Why are we talking about that? I need my penguins. Again, I'm still adamant that it's probably a licensing thing. We'll see how it plays out, but I'm fairly confident that the figures themselves are ready to go. It's just a licensing thing. Something's up. And I'm hoping it gets resolved. I really would like to see that wave get but we also need a little bit of communication, I feel. Because eventually you're going to start hitting this wall where people are going to start throwing out terms like ghosting, like accusations of ghosting, because it's like, Don't remember if you said this, but do you like Mezco? I grabbed a Nightwing that's an SDCC exclusive. Kevbot, I think I do remember. Was it you who asked if I pre-ordered the Mezco Nightwing? And I told you, and I think I responded saying that I didn't. Because I have a tumultuous relationship with Mezco. Because sometimes a figure looks neat if it's going for like a classic comic-based route, and then other times it looks a little iffy and weird, like my experience that I had with the Mezco Pattinson Batman. That I was like, I don't know. But then every so often I see pictures of the Across the Spider-Verse Miles Morales that looks pretty nice. Every so often I see the classic, some classic comic-based Batmans or Spider-Mans that look pretty neat, even though a little wonky in certain parts of the limbs because of the clothing that's got on the Stitch suit. Good thing you brought up Mezco though, because one of the topics that I did want to really quickly talk about is that Mezco themselves did put up a figure up for pre-order today. Maybe that's why you're asking, right? Because I am referring to none other than animated series The Joker from Batman the Animated Series. This 1/12 scale figure from Mezco is now up for pre-order. Whopping 116. Well, I say whopping, but at the same time, that's pretty standard for a Mezco figure. And to be honest, like I said, whenever they go for something that's comic-based or even animated-based, it don't look too bad. I would even argue that some of the proportions look a little better on Joker than they do on Batman. Because you remember when I was talking about the Mezco Batman, I think a couple weeks back, I said that from certain angles, it looked amazing, and then other angles, his limbs looked a little too thin. That like they were trying to go for that Bruce Timm look, but he's a little wider in the show to make it look like he's muscular. Whereas Joker, he's not meant to be muscular, so if anything, I think the physique looks a little better on him. And considering that he's supposed to be wearing a suit that's like an actual like 1950s zoot suit style, as opposed to something a little tighter and more armor-esque like Batman wears, like more superhero-like, it favors him. So this is probably one of the few times where the methods and the practices that Mezco goes for is probably favoring the character more than any other character, and that would have to be with Joker. They looked out with Joker, because here, it actually looks legit. The stitching looks nice. The color, maybe a little bit on the tucking of the orange shirt should be a little nicer, but I would argue that everything else looks actually kind of nice. Maybe the color's lifting just a little bit too much right there, but other shots like this one right here, it legit looks like a 3D model of the 2D animation. And the same thing goes for the head sculpt. That smiling, that like disgusted face with the fish, like that looks nice. I'd argue that this is probably a good, compelling figure to pre-order, because I'm looking at it like, and then this like, like it looks like it's animated, but in a good way. Obviously. And he technically has a fourth face. I don't know if I showed it off right there. Oh, it's not there. Oh, here it is. With the... See, and going back to what I was mentioning about Batman, right here he looks good, but then if you look a little closely on this running animation or running pose that he's got right here, it looks a little off because they're trying to do the Bruce Timm thing, but proportioning's a little weird. But oddly enough, for Joker, because of the style of his suit and his physique, it works better. I like the hands, the four faces that are emblematic of the character. That looks amazing. Go to the next picture with the accessories. Don't know if we need 2 of the Laughing Fish. I don't know if there's any difference between either one of them. They both look kind of the same. But I love the inclusion of the pie, the dynamite with his face on it, 2 bombs along with the lit fuse, 3 Joker grenades, of course, his cane, dagger. What is that? Oh, the little gas thing and then the gas effect. Or the... No, yeah, the gas effect that you can apply to it. And then, of course, Joker cards. I actually kind of dig this. So much so that I said screw it, and I actually did pre-order already on Entertainment Earth since they don't charge any NRDs right away. It will take a little longer. I think it's set for like, what, February of 2026? What does Mezco have it lit? Oh, the same thing. Well, same-ish thing. They say technically if they can maybe pump it out a little quicker, you could receive it as soon as December of this year. But they also have the window closing at February 2026. Whereas Entertainment Earth full-blown said not until February 2026. But I'm like, you know what? Same price, and I don't have to pay an NRD for the meantime. All right. And free shipping. Let's do it. So, I'm genuinely surprised by how well this animated series Mezco Joker turned out. Well, Bones, I don't know how well to comment on that because with the whole AliExpress thing, because like I said, I have very little experience with AliExpress that I'm like, I don't know. Alex, I'm sorry, which one are you talking about? The ones with the lines on the chest? Are you talking about Batman Returns Batman or something else? Which is your definitive Joker in figure form? Are we talking strictly animated series Joker or any version of Joker? Mezco usually adds extras in case something breaks or is lost. I gotta give them props for that. I always give Mezco a year at least before something. That is true. Like they have that window, but I think was it Pattinson Batman or a different one that I didn't have on pre-order and I wasn't looking out for, but I kept seeing in the action figure community, whether it be on Reddit or on Facebook, that people kept saying, "When is this coming out? When is this coming out?" I think it was no. Was it a Wolverine? I think it was a Wolverine. That people were like, "Where is this thing?" And yeah, people were like, it was up for pre-order for like the longest time, something like that. Yeah, the return suit, Young Barry, has lines on the chest. Yeah, I'm telling you, that's why I'm like, the bulk of the body's already made there. I feel like it's a licensing thing with the returns wave. Did you PO animated Mez Batman? I did on Entertainment Earth. Like I said, they're the only ones that are not charging any kind of NRD or anything like that. So I figured, you know what, let's do it. It was 89 Batman that took forever. Under Mezco? Can't buy any Joker. Definitive Joker, but it's any Joker. I'm trying to think of like all the Jokers that I have. In terms of like what Joker figure is most respective and faithful, if you want to use that term, to its like counterpart from either the comic or the game or whatever, and I hold in high regard, and I, you know, think it's like I never want to part with this figure, and at the same time it's solid, it's well built, it's all this thing, and like I said, it's the most faithful to its incarnation from where it comes from. I get sorry, mom was going to the door right now. There was some noise over here. Um, I would probably say McFarlane Joker from Arkham Asylum. In terms of like looking at the figure and going, this looks like what it looks like in the game, and I have a strong affinity for this version of the character. Um, yeah, it would probably be that. Now, if we are to blow it up to a bigger scale, I still haven't opened it and properly messed around with it, but I technically have the Artisan Joker from Hot Toys right over there. I want to see how it plays out. Maybe. But again, we're talking about a Hot Toys 1/6 scale thing that's like $400 to $500. It's not realistic for anybody, for the traditional collector to get. Let's see. Now, before I jump into another quick topic, two quick topics really, to kind of close things out, I have to use the bathroom. Seriously, I need to use the bathroom. Nature calls. So I'll be right back, guys. All right, be right back. Sorry. That kind of took a while. I am back. Nature called. Ooh. David, you need to cut it. Cut what? Right when you're gonna say it. That's how you know you're older, is that when you go to the bathroom, it's gonna be like it's gonna be like a 10-minute thing. Excuse me. That, and well, to be fair, it doesn't. This is not like the most frequent thing when it happens like that. But I should start considering getting. There's a handful of things I need to do to the stream. I need to get an alert for super chats in case somebody donates and there's some kind of alert, some kind of thing to kind of celebrate it and highlight it and bring attention to the super chatter and whatnot. But then the other thing that I need to get is a Be Right Back screen. BRB. Some kind of BRB. Because, yeah. Now, before my bowels rudely interrupted me, something that I kind of wanted to sandwich back to... Now I'm actually kind of... ironically, now I'm actually kind of hungry. It's getting around dinner time, actually. And I just made space. So, something that I kind of wanted to sandwich with the Mezco animated series Batman, we technically have another animated series figure. However, it's coming from a company that specializes in 1/6 scale figures. But it's not Hot Toys. Because when you think of 1/6 scale, you probably think of Hot Toys. No, if we're dealing with animated series, then we're probably dealing with a company that likes to take the animated series figures in like in 6-inch format and simply just blow it up, double the size to about 12 inches, 1/6 scale, but still kind of retain some of the novelties that you expect out of that quality and out of that tooling and sculpting. And I'm talking about Mondo. Mondo revealed that they're going to be doing a San Diego Comic-Con limited edition Batman the Animated Series 1/6 scale Robin figure. So to kind of coincide with past animated series figures that they've done in the past, because obviously they spearheaded the entire thing with Batman, they've done it with Joker, they've even done it with Batman Beyond Batman, they've done it with, I think, Clayface. Was there a Clayface? There was a Clayface, there was a Bane, I think there was even a Poison Ivy. Has there been a Two-Face? But they didn't want to get too much in the weeds of the rogues gallery of villains before tackling the boy wonder himself, Robin. So Robin will be getting his own figure. It is, however, a limited edition. So that kind of begs into question of how much this price is truly warranted for a figure that is for all intents and purposes, a blown up DC Direct Marvel Legends quality figure, just at the, as this points out, 10.5 inch, because I was going to say 12 inch because it's 1/6 scale, but because it's 1/6 scale and it's supposed to go along with Batman, Batman is meant to be the taller guy, so this guy's naturally going to be a little shorter. He's actually 10.5 inches. So he's going to be the scale with Batman, but at the same time, it's like 235? Does Mondo really move units like that? Oh, and Harley Quinn. They also have Harley Quinn. Do they really have enough of the infrastructure to be capable of charging that much? Because I do think that for Robin, it's a little steep. It's a little steep to where I'm like, Batman, I can definitely understand. Joker, even I'm able to be a bit more flux. But with Robin and it's 235, I don't know how much of that is actually going towards the set, which does come with a good amalgamation of accessories. Of course, you're going to have your extra hands right there, but you're also going to have the grapple, both the grappling hook extended with the cable, the actual grapple gun or tool, whatever you want to call it, that can then fit into a grapple hand for the right. You're also going to have the throwable R, because you had the actual throwable R along with some batarangs if you want to be able to swap it that way. Flashlight. I'm trying to remember what this. I think it's the welding tool. I can't remember what the actual name of these things are, but it's those balls. I'm blanking on the name. It has an actual term. I can't think of it right now. But it's the things that coil around the ankles to trap bad guys. So he's got that. To me, the big appealing factor, similar to that of Batman, is that he's going to come with an alternate cape that kind of drapes on over to the side here, but then the alternate heads. Neutral, smiling, surprised, angry, which the angry one is probably the most, like, I don't want to say iconic, but the most important, because the only time that we see Robin with this face is from that episode where, no spoilers, but there's a reason for why Robin is that angry. And it's actually one of the more I don't want to say cathartic, but just one of the episodes with the biggest payoff and what makes you very, very happy that Robin is in the animated show. Because after that, because you're thinking, it's Robin because it's Batman and Robin. Robin has to be in here. But it's that episode that makes me go, oh, no, you earned your place in being in this character roster. It's the episode where he's got this face a lot. And then Dick Grayson, I believe. Dick Grayson face, because I believe this is still technically the Dick Grayson Robin before he turns into Nightwing. So you got the Dick Grayson head sculpt there with the slick back hair. I don't know how and then the little rocket piece right here. I don't know how I feel about, I can't remember which episode these fish and the scissors are from, to be quite honest. I know they popped up. I just can't remember specifically which episode it was. But were they necessary to be included in here? It's kind of a strange combination, a strange bundling, that it makes me wonder if maybe we would have cut some of these accessories out. We could have lowered the price, because right now I just feel like some of the stuff is tossed in just so that we can keep the $235 going. Because again, you're not dealing with a figure that's got felt goods. You're not dealing with and for those of you who are wondering, do you own any of the Mondo figures? I actually do. I have the Mondo Batman animated series Batman. And I haven't done an official review of it. Eventually I want to get to doing a full proper review of the Mondo animated series Batman at some capacity. But I have messed with the figure. Wait, do I have it? Oh shit, no, I think I sold it. Did I sell it? I'm gonna have to check my storage. That's the first step of realizing you have a problem. It's realizing when you don't have a problem, when you realize you might have already sold something and don't know it, or whether or not you still have it. But I do remember that I had it at some point, and I did play with it, and I did mess around and toy with it and whatnot, and I liked it, but I liked the fact that I got it cheaper than MSRP more. Because I didn't. I got it in the aftermarket. I got it through Mercari. Somebody on Mercari was selling it for like $185. And it was not only the animated series Mondo Batman, but it was the deluxe edition that came with like the extra cape and a couple of extra accessories, including like the cyborg Batman headpiece that you can swap out for. A bunch of like deluxe supplementary stuff. And I got it for like $185, like about $50-ish off MSRP. And after messing with the figure, I liked the figure and I was satisfied with my purchase, but I couldn't help but feel a bit happier that I got it cheaper than MSRP, because if I had pre-ordered it day one and got it day one from Mondo for the full price plus shipping and handling, I would have been like, yeah, but at times the legs do like this little noise, and the plastic sometimes feels like if I press it too hard, it's going to break. It's not brittle. It's still a firm enough quality, but it's also not the most, like, it's not made out of the same plastic as, say, Nintendo does with like their Pro controllers, to where you can drop it and still feel good that you're going to pick it up and it's still going to function. It's not like that. It feels like if I drop it from a good distance, it is sadly going to break. And if this Robin is made out of that same quality, I don't know. And considering that it's Robin to begin with, I don't know how much of a demand there is going to be there. I think this is kind of like the... oh, yeah, and they also made a Mondo Mr. Freeze. That's right. It makes me wonder if this is mostly... And I guess it's kind of a good idea that they made it a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, because they probably think, oh, we're very likely not going to sell good amounts here, so we're just going to make it a SDCC exclusive, sell it on the floor, sell it during that window next week, and it's mainly going to be there for people to complete their collection, not a must-have for like the wide spread Mondo audience or 1/6 collectors, because they know that the majority of the people, they're going to go for Batman. Lesser people, just by proxy, are going to go for Robin. But yeah, you're right, Kevin. But they did make a Mr. Freeze. I remember that now. All right. Okay, and it's coming up 4 o'clock. So how about we close with this topic? It's gonna be a pretty brief topic because it's over a figure that I personally feel like we've covered way too many times at this point. We're at that point where, like, when a movie's about to come out, but they release like the third or fourth trailer, and it's just like, all right, I'm not even gonna watch this trailer because the movie's literally out in like two. Like that last Fantastic Four trailer, I didn't even watch because I'm like, movie comes out literally next week, like, and I already got my tickets. Like, why are you? I'm not watching this. I don't want to risk more spoilers. So I'm starting to sort of approach that same kind of feeling, that same kind of sentiment when it comes to arguably a really anticipated release, which is the LPZZ Arkham Knight Batman. And to sort of beef up the hype even more, roughly about a week ago, someone, I believe, actually, well, someone on Reddit, Ultimate Artist over on the Action Figures subreddit, reposted, re-uploaded, whatever you want to call it, an official unboxing from LPZZ of their Arkham Knight Batman. Now, I have this mute. I'm going to be playing it over the background, and frankly, I'm going to skim through it. I don't want to watch it second per second because at the same time, I don't want to, for lack of a better term, spoil myself too much of the unboxing process of messing with this figure. Do my arrows even work on this thing? But you can see right here that, you know, from some of those final product photos that I covered in that last topic video and that last stream where I was shedding shining some spotlight on this guy, he's already looking awesome. The face is looking pretty good, pretty almost damn near 1-to-1 what we saw in the game. For those of you who know, we do have a little bit of a showcase there of the eyeball rolling system, so that is awesome. I just hope that it's a bit more on the intuitive side as opposed to the last figure that I covered with a eyeball rolling system of this scale, because sometimes I feel like when it comes to rolling eyeballs, I get scared in the scale that it's a bit too rigid to where I'm going to break it or it's not going to be intuitive enough, i.e. the amazing Yamaguchi Revoltech Arkham Knight Batman, because those eyes were a little tough to get moving to where it's either neutral or he goes completely cross-eyed or completely off to the side, or he turns into the Undertaker. I'm hoping that they incorporate some kind of technology or some kind of sculpting method into the eyeballs so that it doesn't feel, I don't know what the word is, but there's some kind of like friction or sliding mechanism to where when you stick that rod, which looks like it's a separate piece that you can kind of cup in, it'll move in a way where you feel like you can have more control on those eyeballs. Because I'm worried that I just won't have enough control like I did with the amazing Yamaguchi. So hopefully we have a smoother feel, smoother traction, so I can feel like I have greater grasp on the eyes, so that I can, if I just want to move one eye in a direction just by the fraction of a millimeter, I can do it, and it doesn't feel like I'm just going to go off in a different direction or too hard in that direction. And then we have a little bit of a look at the articulation, but like I said, I don't want to spoil myself too much because I don't want to. We saw that it has a drop down there. I don't know how that's going to feel in hand. I don't know if it's going to come into conflict. That's why I said that I wanted to skip ahead a little bit. And I guess it's more of a showcase than it is an unboxing, because otherwise we would have like shown a little bit more of like the actual box being opened and the trays being pulled out. But I do like this wide shot of all the included accessories. Of course, the hands. We have like what? 5 batarangs, 3 tools, one of which is the what's it call it? The exploding gel. Grapple. We have that rifle. I can't remember what that rifle shoots. So I'm gonna have to replay Arkham Knight soon, especially for that 10-year anniversary retrospective. Zipline, it looks like. I'm trying to remember some of these tools. And then, of course, the unmasked cowl, the unmasked head sculpt. I think those are... Oh, the pins to roll the eyes. And a total of, what, 8, 9, 10, 12 hands, technically, because he still has the fist ones right there. And then some posing with the wired cape and the base. And, yeah. There's even some people in the comment section saying that Arkham Knight is not necessarily their favorite out of the games. They're probably not their favorite incarnations, but they can definitely respect the level of detail and the attention to the sculpt and all that LPZZ might be making a name for themselves. And they even gonna have a little insert to say, hey, look out for that Deathstroke coming up, which I think they even tease in this video right there. I believe okay, hold on. I just noticed something that's kind of funny. That's how you know that they are still, at the end of the day, a smaller company that's kind of, for lack of a better phrase, producing as they go. I don't want to say making up as they go along or anything like that, because it sounds a little kind of, it sounds like a bit of a put down. But the reason why I say that is because it looks like they got things ironed out pretty much to a sheen with Arkham Knight Batman, that it's getting ready to release with this official final product unboxing. I actually am at a bit of an impasse to the point where I might, in the next few weeks, be able to get one in, an LPZZ Batman. It's just the method of acquiring it that I'm still a little on the fence of, to where I'm like, should I go with this? Should I go with that? One involves money, the other one doesn't. I'm like, I'm trying to like, but there's caveats to where one might be later, one might be sooner. I'm trying to balance those things out in my head. So it looks like they're finally going to be able to close the chapter on Arkham Knight Batman, so that then they could turn their attention to what I'm assuming is Arkham Knight Deathstroke. Let's look at this insert here. Yeah, Arkham Knight Deathstroke. Spoilers. Deathstroke is technically an Arkham Knight, just not as much as he was in Arkham Origins. But they are making an Arkham Knight Deathstroke, and you can see the prototype here. And it's definitely a prototype because it's looking like he's a little robust and a little too girthy around the shoulder area, to where I think they're still kind of ironing out some of his posability in this prototype. So not only that, but I can definitely recognize that little gargoyle piece. Down here in the bottom right corner, you'll notice this little, or I'm sorry, griffin. It's not really a gargoyle. It's more like a griffin, I guess. Little architecture piece. I most definitely recognize it because I own it myself. It is the same base piece that's included in the Norm Breyfogle McFarlane Toys collector's was it a collector's edition? The gold label set. That was the Norm Breyfogle that came with 2 capes, a couple of other accessories, and then this little display stand modeled with the Griffin gargoyle there at the edge, at the tip. It looks identical. I'm willing to bet money that it's that McFarlane base, and whoever shot this photography for LPZZ was like, what do I use? And they pulled the McFarlane Breyfogle Griffin piece and put it there. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them. If they had to create something kind of makeshift, that's how they did it. I'm like, all right, I'll take it, along with this little diorama piece. But you can see a little bit more of that Arkham Arkham Knight Deathstroke that is nonetheless looking pretty neat. But I do understand that it looks like a little bit around the shoulder area. It's going to need a little bit of tooling because he looks a little too big, a little too broad than what he looked like in the game. The texture work, though, is looking immaculate. But I think the proportioning just needs to be a little ironed out. There's a few chinks in the Deathstroke armor, if you will, need to be a little reined in there. But it's looking like maybe things are looking kind of nice for LPZZ to deliver their sophomore release in the form of Arkham Knight. I almost said the wrong word. Arkham Knight Deathstroke, and see what they do afterwards. Yeah. Liang Ping Zhao. Zizao? LPZZ. There's the name. And that's not what I meant to click. What the hell? Pfft. Yeah, I don't know why Coca-Cola is doing a Star Wars collaboration now. They should wait 2 years, because then you'll get the 50th anniversary. So what are you guys thinking of LPZZ Batman? Jason's Electric. Welcome to the stream. Are you going to San Diego Comic-Con? I'll be going to San Diego next week, but I'm not going to Comic-Con. I'm going to San Diego for a couple of events that I got invited to. But I'm not actually going into the convention center for the con. So, kind of 50-50. Wide-eyed Batman. If they allow like enough movement upwards or downwards, I think you might be able to achieve that, Bones. Do you think that they could do a good absolute Batman down the line? By Kevbot, by they, do you mean McFarlane? If so, yeah, because a little bit of the foundation is already kind of there with Dark Knight Returns Batman. There's a little bit of the physique already there, and they just have to like build on that. Stupid. All right. As you guys can hear, I'm already starting to lose my voice. I really have to pick up my stamina on streaming, but at the same time, I don't really do it that often. Like I said, I bank topics and try to deliver a good, strong 2-hour show when it needs to be. But I like to prioritize the long form stuff more so. I can definitely see McFarlane, but I mean get a high quality LPZ Absolute Batman? I don't know, because like I said, they're so early with their stuff that it's kind of hard to tell right now. That's why I immediately assumed that you were talking about McFarlane, because with McFarlane, I'm like, yeah, you know, beef body, because McFarlane loves his beefier, chunkier figures. He even said in interviews that he likes figures that have mass to them because he feels like there's better value packed in there. You know, good sculpt work for like the muscles and the texture work. So you already got that checked off with Absolute Batman, but then of course like the leathery stuff, the accessories, the spiky things that he's got on his gauntlets, and he's already got, like I said, a blueprint in Dark Knight Returns Batman. He's still got that, so just build off of that. But LPCC, they're so new that I really need to see what they do with these first two, the Arkham Knight Batman and Arkham Knight Deathstroke. Apart from that, what other figures are they doing? Because I could have sworn some time ago, weren't there like other 112 prototypes that they had like unpainted? Okay, they did, but they're strictly prototypes, and they look like they're still from Arkham Knight. No other property. It looks like it's an actual Arkham Knight. There is a Harley Quinn. It looks like there might be a Joker. Yeah, look at this. Can't remember how old are these photos. I don't know what happened here, but they're almost a year old and they've been deleted. I wonder why. But yeah, there's these photos. And like I said, there's a Arkham Knight, and then there's the different version of Arkham Knight. Let's put it that way. Yeah, like how old are these? But these are like statues, it looks like. Are they? And if this is the Joker from LPZZ, it can't be. Because if it is, it's gonna need some work. Because those shoulders are looking a little, that physique is a little weird. It might be. And this is definitely Fonjoy, ain't it? This is something else. It can't be LPZZ, is it? Maybe some BVS stuff from and Dark Knight's Metal. Of course, LPZZ might be making Dark Knight's Metal because Dark Knight Metal is like the most affordable license there is. Everybody's making that. InArt is doing 112 stuff with that. But if they can do it right, who am I to talk shit? Oh yeah, Kevbot, you said it right there. Dark Knight Batman, like Devastator. Yeah, Dark Knight's Metal. Because it's like the easiest license to do. Pfft. Yeah, Alex, that last part, that's how I feel. I feel like the game had enough disdain online and it did not sell well enough that McFarlane will probably look at the easy way out and be like, nah. All right, you'd rather focus on other stuff, other incarnations of Batman. Look at my boy Jason. Yeah, I mean, if those figures from those photos are from LPZZ and those are mock-ups of what other figures they want to do after Arkham Knight, Batman, and Deathstroke, then it looks like they're going to stay within the Arkham series and within Dark Knight's Metal, which, again, it's pretty... And at that point, they're going to then find themselves in direct competition with InArt's 112 because they're doing Dark Knight's Metal. So that's going to be the two that I'm going to have to look at and go, who's going to do it best? And to me, I'm like, well, that's content on the channel. Definitely content that I'll be bringing to the channel in terms of like comparisons and whatnot. And I did see those prototypes of what appeared to be a BVS armored Batman. So, but I know I already closed it, but it looked like that was the only one. There was no like standard BVS Batman. There was no Cavill Superman. I didn't see anything like that. So I don't know if that was just like a pitch type thing, or if they're actually like dead set on making it that way. All right, guys, gonna wrap it there. And like I said, I'm starting to get hungry. Gonna go get myself something to eat, and then I need to get back to editing and structuring how things are going to play out in the next week and a half. Because like I said, a week from today, me and the girlfriend will be leaving for San Diego because it's going to be both a vacation for pleasure, but also a getaway for business because I have two events that I got invited to, of which I will be generating content for and showcasing here on the channel. So look out for that. But because of that vacation, I'm kind of like moving things around as far as what's going to go up on the channel. I do know that I have a review going up tomorrow morning, but it is for a Hot Toys figure, so just letting you know in case you guys are interested in that. But I'm definitely going to keep my ear to the ground as far as the upcoming LPZZ stuff, as far as definitely Oh, okay, I clicked on something. As far as the McFarlane stuff, because I know that recently we had quite a bit of McFarlane pre-orders go live as far as the Fidgetals. The new wave of Fidgetals, the new wave of, I don't know what to call it, but like the wave that came with Troika Batman and the Black version 2.0 Batwing and the who else was in there? Knights Send Azrael. So I put down pre-orders for those. I got those scheduled, so we'll see when those get released. I know that some people are already getting the Stephanie Brown. That's crazy. Some people are already getting those in hand in the States, not China overseas. It's actually in the States from like Walmart. Like Walmart's selling them earlier, but I'm like, but I got a bundle offer discount on McFarlane Toys. Like that's a little weird. But again, I don't know exactly, unless I'm in the room, I don't know exactly why that is. Sometimes that Walmart or Target or whoever gets stuff early. I have no, it's strange. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for watching, and I definitely wanted to stream before next week because I will definitely not be able to stream next week, and I'm praying that there's no major development. I mean, apart from the SDCC stuff. But at that point, I'll be, like I said, at these events that I'll produce content out of that, and then maybe the week after next week, I'll come back with a stream to cover the official McFarlane Toys panel from San Diego Comic-Con, the Marvel Legends panel, if it involves anything Spidey related, any other companies that showcase stuff. That's the thing, is that 2 weeks from now, there will undoubtedly be almost like a 99.8% chance that I will stream to then cover the official panels inside of the convention that, even though I won't be in the room for, I'll at least be able to cover on the live stream. So, but I will definitely be attending some events next week that will at least, like I said, create some content, and you guys will check it out before we get into the month of August. Until then, guys, Alex, thank you guys for watching. The Planet of that Batman is a must. Care for the which Batman? I hope No Man's Land has a wired cape, even though 2 copies are without. Yeah, that's a little strange. But yeah, Kevbot, Alex, Bones, Jason's Electric, Big Rib. Who else was here? Comic Guy, The Spectre, John Wolf, J.M. Herrera, Trippycast, Manuel with the Batman Beyond logo. Who else? I think that's about it as far as commentators. But if you guys were just lurking and catching the stream and watching, no problem. If you're watching the VOD by any chance, I appreciate you for sticking all the way to the very end of this 2-hour and 13-minute stream. Like I said, next live stream is probably going to be a good 2 weeks from now, because next week we got my San Diego vacation. But definitely the week after that, I will be doing something to cover whatever it is that I missed as far as announcements with McFarlane's panel, Marvel Legends panel, and all that stuff. So, and give you guys an update as to whether or not I managed to procure an LPZZ Batman. We'll see. Otherwise, guys, take care. Have a great rest of your afternoon/evening. And as always, stay humble. Peace out.